So, I've made videos talking about my worst ever days in the market, being at my lowest points, and I think it's just as fair to make videos talking about my best days in the market. And today is certainly my best day of the year. And it's not only from a financial standpoint, my actual physical winnings on the day, but overall, like I'm just very happy with how I went about myself today, following my morning routine, getting outside, getting fresh air, drinking water, stretching, getting sunlight. Like, I know what works for me because I've found success in trading several times. I've had consistent winning days. I've been able to pull profits from the market, but then it's when I fall out of the routine. I don't do what I'm supposed to as an individual. And that's when I crack down and I experience the worst times in my really life at this point. Maybe not my life, but certainly knowing what I'm capable of and dipping back down to those bad habits, it's a painful experience to go through. But you have to go through it so you can understand who you are and what your triggers are and what gets you to your worst, because at that same time it can also get you to your best by reverse engineering it, right? So without further ado, let me go over the trades that I took today, because it was some good shit. So I'm already gonna have my drawings on the thing, because this is just gonna help make everything easier to explain. And I can point it out. So coming into the day, I had a pretty loose bias. I was leaning kind of bullish. So I'm gonna go over the first trade I took, which was on INTC. So this was a stock. I haven't traded stocks in quite some time, but honestly, Intel is a very volatile individual name, and this is paired with my EMA slash daily EMA undercutting strategy, which I will basically adjust my strategy accordingly for stocks versus indexes. Um, don't ask me why. It's just I have certain fundamentals which I look for on individual stock names versus the market as a whole. They just work slightly differently. But basically, looking into the day, if we go onto a daily time frame, obviously right now this is a little bit against the long that I took, but Intel is a very strong name. You can see repeatedly it'll come test these EMA levels and bounce off. This is one of the leading names in the stock market, and today was like no other. I felt like it was generally a pretty bullish name. We had this level of support, as you can see, I've drawn it out right here, where price, when it was able to break above it, it would come and reject. So coming into the day, all I wanted to see was price come, manipulate lower, and break above the EMA cluster. On this 1 minute time frame, it allows me to get, yes, a small precision entry with a higher risk to reward. And right after I seen price break above the EMAs after having a rapid sell off at open, aka the 930 opening Judas swing manipulation, I then saw price break above the EMAs. Once I saw them retesting them and kind of bouncing, I entered. And then once again, technically my stop loss area was validated and I should have exited the position. But if we also go over to ENQ, what you can see happening right here is we're putting in a rejection block. So I'm kind of looking at this at the same time and I'm like, all right, this is a very obvious manipulation right here because we've done our liquidity sweep already with the 930 wick, and all we're doing is we're coming into this rejection block right here. As you can see, if you draw out the area right here, you can see price perfectly comes into the consequent encroachment of this wick. So with that, I see, okay, Intel's literally just reacting to that, and I'm not particularly scared. If this were to break below, okay, I'm accepting the risk, and I'm taking the L on this position. My contracts were down 30% here. Yeah, but I was composed. I knew exactly what was going on, and I was willing to be wrong here. But the market ends up doing exactly what I had anticipated, and NQ ends up pumping, and we see Intel follows along with that. And we had very clear draws of this high of day and previous day, this previous day level right here, along with these highs. But I took initial TP at around 15%. I didn't really like how volatile these cons were. They were weekly cons, but I just wanted to de-risk very quickly, as you can see my note here. Second TP was 30% plus at this previous day close. That's a very strong level for that. Price tends to bounce around. And I held my final con to this high of day where price opened, and I clocked 90% on the final con, netting over $275 on that. So very happy with that play. And honestly, I was ready to be done for the day with that. It was a very impressive win by my books. But we had some very, very clean structure here on NQ. And I honestly want to say this is my best trade of the year. This is the most confluences that were stacked on a trade that I've taken. And overall, just it looks very, very clean and textbook. And I was actually de-risked for this trade because I didn't want to take a second trade, because normally I take one trade and I'm done for the day. But this trade was just too good to pass up on. And I took this also on my eval and banked on it. But let me go over the overall outlook on this trade, right? So higher time frame, I'm pretty like neutral on NQ. I obviously had seen it came into this 4-hour gap right here and we were rejecting. So once again, we were kind of putting in a new low. If price was truly, truly bullish, I believe we would have traded through all of these inefficiencies right here. And today we'd be looking to target new all-time highs. But seemingly, no, we just come and put in another low. And if we draw out also our fib level from this low to this low, we're right in that 0.9 level. And you could see we actually didn't close above it. So it's a pretty good indication that price actually wants to go lower here, at least to rebalance into this 4-hour inefficiency, which is exactly what we were doing. And then you can see also that on the 15-minute, we have very clear engineered liquidity, choppy, low, what's the name of it? Low volume candles that are kind of just choppy. This is low resistance liquidity that you don't want to be trading, but this is exactly what you want to target on the distribution leg of a PO3, right? So all I seen is that when price opened, we came and we had very nice distribution up through the whole New York and London session. This is very clean generated liquidity in my opinion. And to open, we have a very clean PO3. We accumulate, we manipulate these highs, we put in an SMT, and let me bring this down a little bit. We take out these highs on ES, as you can see right here. These highs get taken out. So we have a higher time frame SMT. And then in that higher time frame SMT, we are also rejecting out of a 1-minute inversion gap. So this is basically like a signal for a continuation lower. And then within this lower time frame structure, we form a 30-second inversion. So as you can see right here, we have this itty bitty 30-second that gets formed. And we have a 1-minute change in the state. So from a higher time frame standpoint, we have our key driver of a divergence on the higher time frame, right? ES takes this high, NQ doesn't. So that's one confluence. We then have a second confluence get put in because within this 10 a.m. leg, we have price put in a new SMT. So we have an SMT here to create this new leg, which ends up getting inversed, and we have a change in the state and we have distribution from it. I initially on my eval, I took these shorts here and I targeted this low. And when I had my runners stop out, break even, I'm like, hold up. This is literally just rebalancing. We put in a new swing low, so this is just even more generated liquidity. We come rebalance to the change in the state perfectly. We don't even close above it. You can see the wick It doesn't even close above the change in the state. This is perfect. And within this, I see, okay, now we have new gaps that get created, and I want to see price inverse this. We have this 30-second, very clean, gets inversed. Wasn't enough for me, however, because this very well with this 1 minute. Sorry. I know there's a lot, guys, but this is just showing that there's a lot to this trade, which makes it such a banger. With it, while we had that 30-second there, we had a 1 minute, and I really wanted to see this 1 minute close as like a continuation lower, just to see it flush. And while price had come almost closed below, we then go back up. And here on the 15-second, we create a very clean IVG. We come, wick that 30-second gap, close below with momentum, and here's where I entered. Because I had already taken a win on Intel, I'm like, why am I going to risk trades? Because theoretically, even with all these confluences stacked, it could lose. I could lose money and I'd be frustrated because I give profits back to the market. So what do? I de-risk. I size half according to what I normally would. And I mean, this trade was beautiful, bro. You can see this right here. SMT at high of day, 1 minute change in the state, retap, rejection, continuation signal. We have a 15-minute inversion fair value gap paired with the 30-second. And we have very clean LRLR right here, clear, low resistance liquidity with these relative equal lows down here. And even on London, we have all of this engineered liquidity in these relative equal lows down here. So, brother, this was like a fucking perfect trade. All I wanted to do was target the internal New York lows, and it fucking banked, bro. I took my internals at this swing low, 27%, $47, and then I took the second one. Did I delete it? Shit. Well, I'll just pull up the con on my phone because I'm keeping everything transparent with you guys. I took the second con for $245 and 138%. I'm speechless. These same cons right now are worth $1,700 almost. As you can see, we're just literally rinsing off this whole day. I would have never anticipated this whole move happening. Looks like we're maybe coming to the new week opening gap again that I targeted earlier in the week. At this point, these cons were worth around $900, so still like a 600% move from when I initially invested. But, you know, I was happy with my piece of the pie. This is my largest winning day of the year. And not only did I win on paper with my money, but I'm just very happy with my execution, my pre-market routine, and how I carried myself throughout the day. I journaled everything. That's all she wrote. I'm about to go hit the gym. We get wins on and off the charts, boys, because the whole point of this trading thing is to supplement freedom, right? Having the ability to do whatever we want with our life so we can truly live purposefully and through, real purpose, doing what we love and what builds us as individuals. Yeah, that's all. Appreciate you guys for sticking around. About to get big in the gym. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.